legalize pot, and critics say we'll end up with a state full of people like this.
That was awesome.
You guys are awesome.
No, you're awesome.
You are awesome.
Sir, you are awesome. Seriously.
But ask supporters of a new bill, and they'll tell you medical marijuana is the greatest weapon against some of the cruelest diseases. Tonight, the debate is on in Tallahassee. Democrat Jeff Clemens is proposing the legislation to legalize medical marijuana here in the state of Florida. If it passes, people with debilitating diseases could smoke pot in order to help with some of their symptoms. Fox 35's Holly Bristow following this story. An interesting debate, as always, Holly, and you talked to both parties here. What's going on?
Well, when I spoke with Representative Clemens this afternoon, he told me that his goal is to get this on the ballot for Floridians to vote whether or not they want medical marijuana in the state in 2012. If Floridians say yes, we want it, then he wants in 2013 for legislatures to hammer out a bill, pass that, turn it into law. But of course, there are some opponents of this idea.
State Representative Jeff Clemens from South Florida would like Floridians to decide whether the Sunshine State should legalize marijuana for medicinal purposes.
You know, the government shouldn't be heavily regulating and banning a natural plant when they're allowing people to use these synthetic heavy narcotics. He's
referring to drugs like OxyContin.
We prescribe 85% of the oxycodone in the United States right here in the state of Florida. And 7 people a day die from prescription drug use in Florida. And to my knowledge, to this time, no one has ever died from using medicinal cannabis.
John Stemberger runs Florida's Family Policy Council, which concentrates on issues affecting families and children. He thinks legalizing medical marijuana in Florida is an awful idea.
And the real problem is it sets a bad example for teenagers. And there's enormous abuse that takes place. If you just look in California, what's taking place, there's enormous fraud with this.
Representative Clemens disagrees. He says he wants to help folks with debilitating diseases and patients going through chemo without developing addictions. Stemberger says he feels for folks in severe pain, but...
Well, I think it's a little bit silly to claim that marijuana is not addictive. It's certainly a gateway drug to other harder drugs. We've seen that. The statistics bear that out.
In his life, he simply wants to help people with debilitating diseases, but opponents say the word debilitating is just simply too broad, Sonny.
Right. Some say it is subjective, too, but there are some people who really suffer from some intense symptoms. What are the specific diseases that the proponents of this bill would say this would help?
Some of the things that he mentioned were glaucoma, folks going through chemotherapy. He says it helps them get their appetites back, as well as numb some of the pain, HIV and AIDS. These are just some of the things that he's hoping that they'll hammer out if Floridians say, yes, we do want medical marijuana here in Florida.
Big if at this point.
Big if.
All right, Holly Bristow, thanks so much. By the way, legalizing medical marijuana can actually bring some big-time money into our state as well. In California, medicinal marijuana brings in about $12 million a year in taxes, and in Colorado, about $3 million.